Alright, so if you read your objective today, you should have written down already. Your objective stated, I can incorporate literacy comprehension skills in math to understand relevant and irrelevant information within word problems. So we already understand that our end of year assessment, our test, whatever test we take comparable to the LEAP test, is going to have word problems. Alright, so literacy, being able to read. Not only do you have to read, you got to be able to comprehend the information. Alright, so you got to understand, pull out the relevant information, which is the most important, pull out the irrelevant information, which is the least important, and then solve the problem. Alright, so there's something here we're going to implement today. Alright, it's called close reading. In other words, you're going to read, we're going to pull out relevant information, we're going to answer questions about the information. Alright? There's one thing that's called reading with the purpose. Now if I told you to go out and just read something, just go read a book, you're just reading for no reason at all, you just read. But if I give you a question to answer when you're reading a book, what are you going to do? You're going to read it, and you're going to search for the answers to help you answer that question. Am I right?
Yes.
Alright, so today, there's a process we're going to do. The first thing, I'm going to pass you out a story. We're going to read a story. Alright? I'm going to read. All I need you to do is follow along with me. I'm going to read. Now, a couple things you're going to have to do because this is interactive. When I pass you out the story, or before I pass you the story, I'm going to read you the title. Once I read you the title, you're going to make a prediction of what you think the story is going to be based on just the title. Just the title alone. I need you to give me 1 or 2 sentences that predicts what the story is going to be based on the title. Yes, it's dealing with math. Yes, there's a question at the end you need to solve. Okay? So once I tell you the title, once I tell you the title, you are going to give me 1 to 2 sentences and predict what the story will be about just from the title. Give everybody one. Yes, you may write on it, put your name on it. Okay. Now, the title. Let me get one of the names. The title of today's story. And I want you to predict. He has one already. They have one already. Thank you. Now let's look at our columns. Thank you, ma'am. Our columns say what I predict will happen, changing my prediction, and what actually happened. We're first on the first column. The first one, what I predict will happen. The title of the story is The Case of the Incredible Shrinking Garden. Baffling, I know. Yes, ma'am.
Like a garden, like you plant.
The Case of the Incredible Shrinking Garden. If I handed you a book with no pictures, no nothing at all. The Case of the Incredible Shrinking Garden. Now remember, it's a math story. So I want you to think in terms of math. What do you think is going to relate to a shrinking garden and math? When you have your prediction, place your pencils down. When you have your prediction, lay your pencils down. Everybody done? You still going, Troy? All right, we have our predictions. Who wants to share out? What you got, Ramon? What do you predict to happen?
I think the garden mass like magically shrink and stuff like that.
Okay, so the mass of the garden is going to shrink. All right. Yes, Christian.
Someone was eating or taking things from the garden, making it decrease.
You said they were eating
Or taking
things from the garden, making it decrease. So they cause it to decrease. Okay. How do we measure something that decreases? By what? Subtracting. Okay. All right. Can we decrease something by dividing as well?
Yes.
Okay. So, in other words, we get ready to use some math that we know already. Dividing, subtracting. Okay. Anybody else? One more thing? One more share out something? Troy, what you wrote?
It's short.
It's shrunk. Incredible Shrinking Garden, it's shrunk. Okay. Robert?
The garden is subtracting or dividing.
The garden is subtracting or dividing. All right, so we have it. Now, here's what I need you to do. Follow along as I read the story. All right? I'm going to read it. Then we go. Yes, ma'am. And then we're going to look at a discussion question at the end. All right? So just follow along as I read. Pencil down. All right. The case of the incredible shrinking garden. Hello, Super Sleuths. I definitely need your math smarts to crack this latest case. It all started that other afternoon as I was walking down Main Street. The birds were chirping and the scent of spring flowers filled the air. All right. Flip to the last page of the book. Last page. All right. Okay, math detectives. Your job is to find the new length and width measurements of the shrunken garden. It's the only way to restore the garden to its original dimensions. Remember, the garden is a rectangle. The area of a rectangle is found by multiplying its length by its width. The new area of the shrunken garden is 100 times smaller than the original area. Here's a math maven hint. Even though the garden shrunk,
Excuse me, students and teachers, for this brief interruption. Teachers, please allow the kids that just arrived on bus 401 as high school students. Also, our high school football players, and they should be dressed in shirt and tie, or should not be dressed in their uniform. Release those kids at this time to the gym for the Soul Bowl breakfast. Release them in front of the school so they can go to the Soul Bowl breakfast. Thank you.
all right. Even though the garden shrunk, the proportion did not change. So the length to width ratio is the same. What are the dimensions of the garden after Ima Grub shrunk it? All right, so based on what we read, make a prediction of the answer, A, B, C, or D. You can calculate anything, just make a prediction of the answer, A, B, C, or D, from what we read. Write it in your middle column. Look at the answers. Right in your middle column. A, B, C, or D. We have our prediction? A, B, C, or D? A, B, C, or D? All right, we got it? Okay. Now, as you go through a story, I'm going to show you what I would do. As now I'm reading with a purpose. I have my question. I know what I need to solve. Okay? I need to know what are the dimensions of the garden after Ima Grub shrunk it. Alright, so she shrunk my garden. I need to know my dimensions. Now, as I go through a story, I need to be able to read and find out I need to be able to read and find out what I need to answer my question. So, first thing I want you to do as we go through the story, this time you're going to read on your own. Alright? You're going to read with your question in mind. But for example, if we take a look at the board, if I don't know a word, okay? If I don't know a word, I would circle it. Translation is off. Wow. If I don't know a word, I would circle it. Sleuth. Okay? For example, sleuth. I will circle the word. Now, your task, as you go through, I'm reading. Hello, Super Sleuth. Definitely need your smarts to crack this case. It all started after we walking down Main Street. Alright? I noticed a crowd going. Oh, it's awful. Now, as I keep going, I look for words that I do not know. Alright? I circle. Anything that I need to help me solve my case, I underline. For example, again, my question is, what are the dimensions of the garden after she shrunk it? So as I read, I pushed my way through the crowd and froze at the sight. Our precious rose garden that used to be stretched 40 feet across. What I need that?
Yes.
That tells me what?
How long it was?
How long it was. It tells me my original dimensions. Alright, so here's your task. Number one, we're going to circle words we do not know as we read through. Alright, number two, we're going to underline anything that we can use that's going to help us solve our question. Alright, and number three, on the outside of your story, on the note side, we're going to list any math terms that we find. Any math terms we find, we're going to list it. Be prepared to share out. But any math terms that we find, we're going to list it on this side. Alright, so there are three things. Circle, words we do not know. Underline, what's going to help us solve it. And then list any math terms that we find. Alright, you may begin. So, who wants to tell me something that they underline that's going to help them solve the question or to solve the mystery? What you got, Dragonisha?
Multiplying is length by width.
Alright, so she said multiplying is length by width. Where did you find that at, Dragonisha?
In paragraph number 1, when it says the area of a rectangle is found by multiplying its length by width.
Alright, in paragraph number 1. So, look at it. Paragraph number 1 on the last page. It said the area of the rectangle is found by multiplying its length by its width. So, we will underline this term. Multiplying its length by its width. So we already know we're going to be doing what in this mystery?
Multiplying.
Multiplying, okay? Who wants to tell me something else that they think you'll use this? Christiana?
On paragraph number 1 on the second page, when it says once was 800 square feet and now will soon be 100 times as small.
Alright, so let's go back to the second page. That's my water. What once was 800 square feet in all will soon be 100 times as small. So if you don't have this underline, underline. This is giving us clues. It's telling us what once was 800 times, 800 square feet in all, will soon be 100 times small. Anybody have anything else? Anything else gonna help us solve? Definition?
It's like, on the second page, it say the proportion did not change, so the length to the width ratio is the same.
Okay, so it tells us on the second page, the proportions did not change. Oh, yeah. Right here. So, last page, the proportions did not change. They didn't change. So the length to width ratio is still the same. Underline. You should underline what's going to help you solve. So now there are three things that's going to help us solve. The length to width ratio is the same. Alright? Well, once was 800, now 100 times smaller. Alright? And the last one that I think we forgot, I'll show you what notations I made on mine, was the rose garden that used to stretch 40 feet across the park. Who had that underlined? You should have had it underlined.
Oh.
That's one of the most important pieces. Alright? So now, we have all our pieces underlined that we need. Now, what about words we did not know? Jacqueline?
That B word,
Which one?
bio,
Botanical? Okay? Botanical. Anybody remember science? Botanical. Dealing with flowers and plants. Botany. Okay? Y'all done learn that one yet? Okay. What about anything else? Anything that may be causing confusion? Anybody know what a sleuth is?
No.
Okay, so when you read and you have terms you don't understand, what should you do?
Use concept clues.
Context clues or what else? Read around it. Okay? What else? Ask the teacher. Or else you should do what?
Write it down.
Get a dictionary. So, write it out to the side. That's why I had you circle. You circle it, a sleuth. Now, so what are we doing today? What does it say we're doing? Math, Maven's what?
Mysteries.
Mysteries. Alright? She started off saying, hello, super sleuth. So we're solving a what?
Mystery.
A mystery. So a sleuth is a person that solves what?
Mystery.
Mysteries. So did we use our context clues?
Yes.
Sometimes in math problems, there are things around the problem that you use to solve. Like this whole story we read about a shrinking garden, had clues inside of it that were around it that we can use to solve the problem. Okay, so now that we have everything notated, we have our 40 feet, we have our length by width, we have our 800 and 100. Now, our last thing is to solve for the answer. So on your last page, there's a space at the bottom. Space at the bottom. We're going to use our clues that we have. We all underline together and solve for the answer. Remember, we made a prediction earlier in number 2. We made a prediction earlier. Now, we're going to solve for the real answer. Whether it's A, B, or C, using the clues that we have.
Mr. Can you tell what we predict the answer was gonna be?
You want to know the prediction? All right, I'll take 3 predictions. Christiana,
Mine was D.
yours is D. Why?
Because that's the reason why I circled when it said 800
Square.
square feet and all. It said that was the original size of it. So when you multiply 20 times 4, they get you 800.
Okay, so that's your why. Okay, you said it's D. What do you say?
I chose D.
Okay, you chose D. Why?
Because, see, I had looked at 20 feet wide and 40 feet long, because, like, it kind of made sense, because you gotta, like, multiply that, and it ended like 800.
Okay, and one more. I saw somebody hand. What else is somebody hand?
Nah.
One more. DeAndre, you got 8. Why did you pick 8? Divided by 100. Remember, listen. When we take our future test, remember this. That not only can you just give an answer, but you have to be able to explain how you got that answer. Alright? That's that why. That's the why you have to know. You gotta be able to give an answer, but then you gotta be able to explain why and how you came up with that answer. That's constructive response. That's elaborating on it, okay? So, we got some predictions. You made your prediction. On the last page, which I already saw somebody starting on, use the space at the bottom to predict your answer. I mean, to go ahead and get your correct answer. Whether it's A, B, C, or D. Be able or be ready to share out how you got your correct answer. Alright? You made your prediction. Now actually use all the clues from the story to solve the answer. Everybody will think the answer A is the correct answer. Give me one finger. Okay. Everybody think B is the correct answer. Give me two. Okay. Two. You don't want one? Okay. Everybody think C is the correct answer. Give me three. Wow. Everybody think D is the correct answer. Give me four. So everybody say it's D. Okay. Yes, and why you say it's D? Why do you say it's D?
Because it say the ratio, the proportion doesn't change.
Proportion does not change, okay? And you found it, what it said in the story?
It said it on the last page.
It's on the last page that the proportion do not change, okay? Now tell us why you say D. Hey man, you said it. I want to know why you say D.
But I tell you, the same reason why she, the same thing she.
I just felt that it was the right answer.
You felt it was the right answer. Why? Did you find some evidence that says the right answer?
Now,
What evidence did you find, JC?
that the ratio is it's gonna stay the same.
Okay, so what about all the other evidence? That didn't mean anything?
Not really.
Yeah,
It did? John, what you say?
because it say, in the paragraph, it say 40 feet across the park. And it say 40 feet long, and it say the proportion don't change.
Oh yeah, that's
40
what
feet.
Okay, alright. Then they asked, why did you say B? You the long range, by yourself. Why you say B?
You better say the same.
Because it say in the paragraph, one of these paragraphs say that it was disappearing.
It was disappearing, okay?
It's attractive. Hold on, let me find it.
This is my voice.
Alright. He said
This
disappearing.
man dying.
Okay, it's dying. Now, are you ready for my prediction? Are you ready for my answer?
Yeah.
Now, using all these clues, let's watch what happened. Area is length time width, okay? The original is 40 feet long, okay? And it was how much?
800.
So if the original was 40 feet, that was the length.
Y'all need to be ready.
What do I multiply by 40 to get 800?
20.
20. So that means it was 40 by how much?
20.
Y'all
20.
need to be ready.
Now, let's reduce this down. If you have 20 by 40, alright? And you reduce this fraction, what do you get?
It's 20.
Reduce it by, it said it went down by 100 times. Okay? You went from 800 to 100. You reduced it. 20 by 40. You left a what? 2 by what? The last one. 2 by 4. So what's the correct answer? What's the correct answer?
B.
B is the correct answer.